And that is where you take and you wash this piece of metal that's going to be the pyramid off. In this case, it was a mild magnetic steel. And then you put a copper flash on it. And then we put 20 minutes of nickel on it. And then we put so many millionths of an inch of gold on it. And that's how we made it. So we had active and passive metals. Nickel is the passive metal. Copper is the passive metal. And iron is active, and gold on the outside is active. So it produced the Orgone effect. And that was verified by Wilhelm Reich's daughter, Eva, in New York City in 1976 when she was doing a medical conference. She was a medical doctor on the top floor of the New Yorker Hotel, and we were down at the bottom floor doing a holistic conference. And one of my workers from the booth went upstairs, walked into her lecture. This is Wilhelm Reich's daughter. She stopped the lecture in front of about 150 medical doctors and said, "There is a Orgone-plated pyramid like my father would have made." That's how I met her. She was so impressed that she came down after her conference was over and started hanging out with me. It was very cool. So anyway, when we made the copper one, it didn't work very well. And we found out later that we had to allow it to sit on top of another one that we made, and it would cause an erosion of holes in the copper, which allowed it to breathe from the active to the passive metal. Remember, copper is passive, gold is active, and it finally pushed holes through the gold plating, made these little round spots. The pyramid looked like it had freckles. And then later on, we developed a heating process so we could mass produce them. And then we found out that this would, in fact, help people get rid of the effects of arthritis. Remember, you have to get rid of diseases on your own, but pyramids help. They get rid of blockages. Later on, we decided to raise the bar a little bit further, did some experimentation, and we found that silver was a good metal. Silver was an active metal, so we did a coating of silver, and we found that now we were stimulating, instead of just putting the body in alpha like the gold one did, and stimulating the corticosteroids like the copper one did, it actually stimulated the adrenals, we call it the Pyradome. We found that the Pyradome, which was the newest one, stimulated the pituitary and pineal gland and displaced serotonin. And so people started having tremendous meditative experiences with it. And this was our three products that we had for probably the first 7-8 years of the company. And we did quite well with them because word of mouth. We never ran an ad ever. We still haven't run any ads ever on any of our products because we never had to. People just buy them because somebody else heard about them and they tried them and they worked. So about 1981, I started studying titanium. And this was before Dr. Emoto was putting energy into water, freezing it, and then doing a microscopic evaluation of the crystalline structure of ice from the water that had been subjected to different energy fields, for example, meditation, happiness, hatred, good and bad feelings, nature, all kinds of different places that he put his water and then froze it and then looked at the crystalline structure. Well, the most interesting crystalline structure that he came up with was when a blessing takes place from a pope, or they use holy water, and freeze that. It forms the exact same crystalline structure as the structure of titanium. And I discovered that by back before I knew about Dr. Emoto, because I was working with my own experimentations using Kirlian photography and the Ruth D. Loire camera to make these scientific observations. And we found that the Reverend Earl Oxley in England had blessed water, and we got to take a picture of that, and we saw the same structure as titanium. So it got verified twice, once by Emoto recently, Dr. Emoto in Japan, and then Reverend Earl of Loxley in England. So we had this verification. So then I said, well, we got to get titanium on board here. So that was a big shock. And where's most titanium? Well, it's on the moon, and most of it was then anyway. But we did find some titanium. We found it to be incredibly expensive, very hard to work with. But we did find some people that would make a pyramid out of titanium. So then we took it down to the plater, and we wanted to plate it, make it like a Pyradome or a Pyradome. We wanted to make a more powerful version of our Pyradome and our Pyradome. But we ran into a big problem. It seems that titanium is so hard, even though it's very light, lighter than aluminum, stronger than aluminum, it's very hard, and we could not plate it. So I had to go to NASA and find out how we plated titanium parts for the rockets, and I found a company that did titanium plating for aerospace, which I currently use. So we went there with it. We went ahead and got it plated. So then we put that on people's heads, and now we found it had about 100 times or 200 times the power of the radome, and so we became known as the Pyradome. We sold those for years and years and years. Well, I had always envisioned, I had worked with a guy named Dr. Lawrence Kennedy up at Lake Tahoe for a number of years. And while working with Dr. Kennedy up in Lake Tahoe for a number of years, we were working also, he was friends of Uri Geller, and they both did the same thing. They bent metal with their minds. And so he started spoon bending classes. And so people were bending spoons with their minds, and they found that if they wore the radome or the Pyradome, they could bend them a lot quicker and a lot faster and a lot easier. So then Dr. Kennedy started talking about putting Virginia Beach sand that Edgar Cayce had talked about on top of the pyramid. So we made one up. We took a Pyradome and put Virginia Beach sand on it, and it was the most powerful little old pyramid dome you ever saw in your life. It was almost as powerful as a Pyradome. Edgar Cayce had long talked about crystalline structures in sand, and when those were placed in the third eye or chakra area, it created an opening of the crown chakra and a functioning, a orchestration of the pineal gland. So over the years, I began to develop this device called the Chyrsilladome, but I decided rather than using Virginia Beach sand, I would go with pure diamonds. And so it took me a long, long time to find the right diamonds that I could use that were affordable for this, because we're talking every square inch of the Pyradome covered in diamonds. And I'll tell you something. You know, you may look at one of these Pyradomes and Pyradomes or radomes, and if you unwind the circumference of the diameter of it, there's a lot of plating on there. So we went ahead and we put diamond dust. It took us a long time to get it to stick, but now we have a process where we put diamond dust on top of a silver Pyradome, and when you put this thing on your head, you can close your eyes and have somebody lower it over your head, and you don't even feel it touching your head, and as it comes down, you just see fire and light and sparks and stars. It's the most amazing thing that you've ever seen. So we are now taking orders for the Chyrsilladome. It's now available. Now, questions. Okay, here we have a question. We got a lot of questions here. And we'll also do some call-ins, too, if you want to call in. Let me see here. Okay, where's the first question here? All right. Can I wear my Pyradome in my sleep pyramid for better meditation? Okay, that's the question. All right. When you sleep in one of our pyramids, it's best to put the Pyradome on top of it like a capstone if you don't have a capstone. If you do have a capstone, suspend the Pyradome a couple of feet down below, close to your body, because it will actually act as an amplifier when you are sleeping or meditating. And here we have a question from Ariok. For Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which gem would you wear in a nuclear receptor? And that, of course, would be an emerald. Anytime you have a thyroid problem in any shape or form, it's a modification of your ability to process the third ray, or the intellect energy. It's a female energy. And so the emerald has been found to handle that. Another question I see here. Please explain, Dr. Fred, please explain shape energy and its effects on the body. Well, even a box has shape energy. Every shape has energy. Otherwise, it wouldn't have a shape, and it took an energy to make it have a shape. So if energy has a shape, then you have to have, obviously the base of the brain, for example, called the pons, is pyramid shaped. There's a lot of pyramid shapes. I think we have a caller on the line. Hello?
Yes, hi. This is Sandra from Ohio. Dr. Fred?
How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for your programs. I have a couple of questions. I've been wearing one of your nuclear receptors for a little over a month, and I love what it's doing. I can feel a difference in my body, my energy level, everything already.
What stone did you get?
I got the yellow sapphire.
Okay. Works on the adrenals.
Yes, and my adrenals, I was actually on corticosteroids